Hey, what's going on, folks? It's Mike here, and welcome back to my SDL series. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at how to get SDL running on the web using the Emscripten compiler toolchain. So this is going to be a fun one, and with that said, let's go ahead and dive right in here and learn a little bit about how to do this. So I've just gone ahead to the wiki page here for SDL3. Again, you could just search for it, usually the first hit. And what you're going to want to do here is go to the readmes, and that's going to bring you to the GitHub. So you can also just go to the GitHub page if you like. And the one that I'm looking for in particular is the introduction to Emscripten. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on this and have a look here. So basically, this is going to be a little introduction to getting SDL running here. Now, just a full disclaimer, I recommend that you first make sure that SDL3 is running on your system otherwise. So feel free to check out any of my other tutorials on SDL3. So just search for me in my name here, and this playlist has a bunch of different ways to install for Windows, Linux, and Mac primarily. So make sure that you have SDL3 running before you do this particular one, because I think getting SDL running and doing some examples with just the basic hello world and a few other things will be most useful. Now that said, if you just want to jump into the web, let's just go ahead and continue. So there's a little example here, and we have a hello program here that we'll use as our sample here. So it's been contributed by some folks here, and I want to talk about this example for a little bit in a moment. But you'll also see that there is a cmake project here that you could use. I'm going to just show you how to compile things from scratch on the terminal. One potential option to get things up and running. Again, maybe we'll look at this again on cmake, and again, if folks are interested in that, I could do another tutorial. But anyways, as far as the directions are provided here, if you're using cmake, just keep in mind that Emscripten has a separate sort of build process here using its toolchain, and it's basically going to do the proper compiler steps to build out the SDL library in, I believe, WASM or WebAssembly, and do all the correct compiler options and so on that you need here. So anyways, we don't really need this set of directions too much, but we do need this hello example for the purpose of what I'm going to show in this video here. So what is Emscripten though? So let's back up a little bit here and just take a look at Emscripten if you haven't heard of it. It is basically a complete compiler toolchain, again for WebAssembly, because we want to build on the web here. It's using LLVM, so the Clang compiler frameworks. And again, how can I sort of describe it in context of SDL? Basically, that as far as popular C++ libraries go, some of the functions that are part of the C and C++ library, and particular ones like SDL, have been re-implemented for the web, or stubs, or some implementation. Someone has compiled, whether automated or manually, some libraries so that when I do something like malloc, for instance, on C, there's an equivalent web version for it. Okay, so that's a basic idea about what this framework is doing. And you can see on the front here, I mean, for example, if you're doing OpenGL or following my OpenGL series, it's actually doing some conversion into WebGL. And again, familiar APIs like SDL, which is one of the reasons why I like SDL, because it's a nice C-based API, and other things like pthreads and so on. So you just write your regular C programs, and this will compile it, or C++, or there's ways to get D and other languages, probably Rust as well, to compile down. Basically anything that can have some external, talking to functions, and C can probably use or utilize this framework. But primarily, we're going to focus on just C or C++, as that is what I believe it's meant for. So anyways, let's just figure out how to download Emscripten here. And we're going to follow the directions here on this page, building and cloning and doing all the steps as properly as possible. So go ahead and just move this to the side here. Let me go ahead and give my terminal, and let's clone the repository here. And then I will move into the SDK. So let's go ahead and do that. And now I'm in the Emscripten SDK here, and it looks like I've got a bunch of different build files here. So let's see. Now I could also do, if I already have this installed, git pull and so on, but I believe I have, or should have, all the latest stuff here, right? I just installed it, you just saw that. But let's go ahead and download the latest SDK tools. So I'm going to run emsdk here, which you can see is, I don't know if this is a install tool. Let's see if that's a shell script of some sort. Yeah, it's some shell script here that's basically going to run. I believe it's using Python, so you might need Python 3 as well here, but let's just go ahead and run this here to install the latest, and we're getting at this version 4.07. So it looks like a relatively late version here, or a relatively recent version. That's the right way to say that. And then I'm going to activate it here. So at least for my current terminal session, I'll be able to use the Emscripten SDK. I might have to close down my terminal and jump back into it in a moment, because sometimes the environment variables and so on don't get updated. But anyways, just keep that in mind. So let's give that a moment to download, and then we'll go ahead and continue the video. Okay, just like that, a little bit of video magic, and we are back and installed here. So again, let's make sure that we activate the latest. Just going to paste that in here. Let's see here. Oops, I copied in a little bit of extra stuff here. So let's just do activate latest. All right, and we're making sure that we're running that version that we just downloaded here. And I'm going to source, again, these values here. Basically, it's going to set all the shell values here, or environment variables, rather. So I could just type in emcc -v, and that should bring up an Emscripten compiler here. So you can see, again, that 4.07 here is what we want here. And you can see it's the target is going to be building for WebAssembly 32-bit, I guess, is the default here. I'm on a POSIX system, so again, you can see some of the defaults here. I'm using Clang 21 here, and so on and so forth. So that just gives you a little bit of the ideas here. Again, our goal is just to run the hello world here. And if you're following along on Windows here, there's some other instructions. These should look pretty similar here, that what I'm doing on Linux, but anyways, that's the idea. Okay, there's some other things you can do to target install, but let's go ahead and let's keep going down here. I'm going to keep scrolling. Again, if you're on Windows, Linux, or Mac, there will be some specific directions here. We're just going to follow on Linux. I've already got Python 3. Let's just see the version. Let's see, version. Oh, what is it? Dash version, something like that. Maybe I don't have Python. Oh, it is Python 3 something. Okay, these are the versions that I have here. If I type in Python 3 version, 3.12 is my default, if that matters for you, but it looks like a Python 3 is what you need. And you might need cmake. Again, at some point, I'll probably end up having to make some cmake videos for this series, but I want to just show you how things get up and running. Okay, so let's keep scrolling down, and I think we've got everything we need here. Again, you just want to make sure that it works here. And you can see the help flags otherwise if you need them. Okay, so let's go ahead and run our SDL program and figure out how to do that here. So first and foremost, again, I'm going to need an SDL program. That's this hello.c in the docs section here. Now, what you'll notice here, which is kind of interesting and is fun to read through, we haven't looked at this yet if we've just been installing things, is there's no main function in here. So this is the callback version of SDL. And in fact, this is sort of a very portable version of the way to write an SDL program, right? So I have a initialize function that's called at startup, an event function when I do key presses. So it's kind of a nice way to organize our program. On the iteration or every frame, or if you've used other graphical user interfaces, they usually have like an on paint or on draw sort of function. That's called every frame if it's, again, in real time. And then what happens when you quit. So there's no main function in here, but we're going to see that through a little bit of magic in SDL, so to speak, they include this main function, I believe, here. And then they just set this callback flag here. So this is another way that we could write our SDL functions, or rather SDL programs. And it's kind of nice that we have this option here. There is a little bit of an article, I believe it's in the articles section talking about this. Let's see if we can find it very quickly. Yeah, it might be, I forget exactly where it is, other than, just looking at that example. But I'll just pause the video again like magic, and here we are at a new screen so we can find these things so we don't leave them as mysteries. If we look at on the wiki page, new features, and then the main callbacks, optionally run your program from callbacks instead of main. It talks a little bit about the, at the end of the day, this is sort of how we structure our programs with, a while loop here from a main function. But again, some platforms like the web perhaps prefer that we operate in chunks, so to speak here. This is particularly going to talk about Emscripten here. So, we basically, if we're using SDL on the web or maybe iOS or Android platforms, we want this sort of callback style program. So let's go ahead and just create a little hello file here. Let's go ahead and just do it here so you can see my structure here. Hello.c. I'm going to just paste in that program here. And let's go ahead and just compile it the previous way that I have done before. So let's use pkg config here. And let me make this just a little bit bigger just to show you that this program is going to run. And then we're going to do the Emscripten version here. I'll just do it like this here. My libraries, my C flags, and I've already got SDL3 installed and configured. And this program runs here, right? It's going to print hello world, and I can hit escape, and it'll just exit here. Okay, so that's what that program's doing. It's using some other cool things that we haven't talked about yet that are awesome in SDL3. Again, this callback setup here, which I really, really like here. We are writing text to the window, debug text. And again, we'll get into all these things in the series, so stay subscribed for that. We'll check it out here. But how to get this running now in a web browser is the question here. Okay, so I want to use the Emscripten toolkit for that. So the cool thing about Emscripten is, for the most part, and we can look at the SDL documentation for this here. Let me close a few of these now that we don't need this doc here. I'm going to do intro to Emscripten. And then, let's go ahead and click the README here at the bottom for more information on Emscripten. And I expect these will get updated over time, so that's why I'm clicking on all the links here. So yeah, there's, read the manual here. But in general, you build this sort of like you just build your regular program. Now they're using Emscripten make. I'm going to just show you a different way to do it here. And what's cool is from Emscripten, we can basically do emcc, and I need to pass in a file. Okay, it's in the previous directory here. Let's just see what happens here if I try to compile this. Okay, it's going to complain about SDL3 is not being found here. Okay, because, well, I need to pass in my flags here. Okay, so let's try to pass in our flags the same way that we did with package config here. Something like that. Let's pass those in here. And that's going to say, okay, the Emscripten compiler, or rather this toolchain, doesn't know about some of these things that are being passed in here. So it's saying WebAssembly, LD, okay, unknown argument, dtags. So let's try to unpack pkg config here. So again, on C at the top of my window, this works perfectly fine. But I want to sort of unpack this just a little bit here and see what types of things we're printing out here. Okay, so we're printing out, okay, enable new dtags. So, I could try getting rid of some of these things here. And in general, Emscripten is supposed to be just a drag and drop replacement here. So let's just kind of do that and see if we get a result. And then ultimately, I'll show you one sort of shortcut here. So it doesn't like this enable tags thing in our linker. So let's just get rid of that. Let's get rid of a bunch of these flags here. And it's still saying, okay, undefined symbol here, undefined symbol to render draw. And we can scroll up here. And okay, so basically it's saying, hey, in our little hello program, it's not linking in properly. So a few things we can try. We can try to statically link into this library here, but I'm going to show you meaning just, I've compiled SDL as a shared library, but I'm going to just show you again the shortcut because somebody's sort of done this for us. And what we can do here is with Emscripten, we can pass in this other flag here. Let me see if there's a help here. I think it's SUs. Let's see. Oh, it might not be showing up here. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get it to show up here. But what we could do is just, let's get rid of all these linker flags that I'm guessing with. I do want to pass an output flag here. I'm just going to call it hello.html here. But I could just pass in -sus equal SDL3. Okay, let's try that here. Okay, maybe I spelled it wrong. In fact, I did here. SUs underscore SDL3 equals 1. I think that's right. Oh, a little bit closer. So it's not SDL3 here. It is use SDL and then specify the version 3 here. Okay, so this should do the trick here. I'm pretty sure. Let's try again. Oh, famous last words. Make sure you get every character. And I wrestled with this. So again, I'm being a little bit Sorry, you know, taking my time here. But again, you have to be pretty specific. This is the thing that is working here. Now, it is telling you this port here. Basically, it's doing the download here for me of SDL, you know, whatever is in the Emscripten database here. And basically what this means is, let me bring in another web page here. If you look at the Emscripten help pages, there, you know, user contributed ports for things that you might be interested in if you're watching this channel, like GLFW, Lua, and so on. There's a whole guide here on porting and what is supported, and, you know, different libraries and stuff. Basically, this is just a way to get SDL3 up and running here. I mean, you can see I got the OK here. So what happened here? Okay, I did this in my Hello World, you know, folder here, which may or may not be the greatest thing to do. So let's just do an ls for hello things star. And basically the result of my compilation command here was to output hello HTML, little JavaScript file, and then the WASM here. Okay, let's look at these. Okay, I'm just going to rebuild that one more time here. Hello WebAssembly. Okay, looks like I get some binary not readable thing here. Hello JS here. Okay, so this must be some JavaScript thing here. I mean, let's see if is there SDL here if I search. Let's see, SDL3. Okay, I'm finding SDL3 stuff if you just kind of search through here. There's probably a bunch here. Okay, maybe a bunch of these functions and so on that have been ported. So, you know, you kind of get the idea just digging around here. The hello HTML, I suspect we might be able to read some more of what's going on here. But it is just a little page here, I suppose, with our SDL program. Okay, now let's try to just run this. I'm just going to open up this page here. So you can open up the folder or directly open it. This is going to open up a web browser with the page here. It's running, it's downloading. Let's see if this works. Now, here's again another important step here. Again, something I stumbled into, again, which is why I'm making this video with you know, the things I stumbled into. It might just keep downloading here. And the reality is Chrome browser seems not to like these, you know, files here. Somewhere that's in one of the readmes where it said that. So instead what we should do here is use our toolchain, Emscripten compiler, and I believe it's emrun here. And then I should just pass in my hello HTML. And you'll notice that it basically launched a simple HTTP server here. So you can do this using Python if you want here, but you can also just, you know, use that emrun command. And then if I bring in my browser, you'll see I have the hello world program here. Right? I can click on it to full screen it. Let's press escape though. And then escape, of course, terminates the SDL program, so nothing's left there. Okay, so that's kind of cool. That, you know, it just works here. So again, you can just do your build as such with SDL3 and then a run here using the toolchain. And of course, if you want to, you know, launch a HTTP server or something, you could also do that, right? If you don't want to, you know, always be launching this command. So let me just show you one more thing here. Let's go ahead and split this window. Let's make sure I'm in the SDK folder here. And I'm just going to launch a Python 3 HTTP server because, right, you have Python installed here. And it's running on port 8000, I guess, by default here. And basically, you know, if I run this within the directory where I have my little hello.html file, I should be able to just go to this URL here, localhost. Let me make sure I do 8000. That's the one that was launched here. I'm just going to put slash hello.html, and then I get my page here. And I'm serving this locally on my server. Okay, so that's what the emrun tool is basically doing. And then you can do the same thing. You can click on it and it full screens and press escape. Press escape again, and it'll capture that. And I guess my application is terminated now. So that's the basic idea. So you know, really simple stuff here. Let's just show again on one screen what is going on, just to again get everything going. Oops, let's see here. So I basically compiled and use this nice port that folks have already built for us of what looked like a relatively recent version, 3.24 of SDL. So it looks like they are keeping that up to date. And then you can just use emrun and then do the hello.html. So if you're able to get Emscripten up and running, very, very simple to get SDL running. And again, that key thing, meaning with SDL programs to use the callback versions. Like you kind of structure your program in a different way here, where your app initialize is and these types of things. If you have, some multi, or cross-platform application that you're developing for, like desktop that has a main, and you also want to do web. I mean, you could just restructure your program to use this as an idea. So this is a case where maybe in the C or C++ project, I might have like an if-def, like if doing web version, but then the rest of the code base is basically the same thing, right? App initialize can transfer to, whatever sort of thing you want to do, and your game loop and game events basically happen in these functions. So again, just something to think about when you're structuring your code. That's why I wanted to cover this a little bit early in our series for setup, that this is an option here, because I know a lot of you want to use SDL for building for multiple platforms. Anyways, folks, so with that said, very, very nice job, and credits again to the SDL3 team for building these examples, the Emscripten team for building an awesome toolkit. So definitely check out those projects and give them support by giving them, stars on the GitHub and so on. And if you like these lessons on SDL and want to keep following along, go to course.emsha.io. I've got all these here. So, the free lessons that you're watching on YouTube are down here if you want a distraction-free environment to track your progress through these lessons. And we've also got a forum, too, if you want to discuss other stuff regarding SDL programming and other things that show up on this channel. So anyways, folks, thanks for your time and attention. I hope you had fun with that video. It's been one I've wanted to make a long time. Doing SDL stuff on the web is just super, super cool and super satisfying. Anyways, folks, thanks again for your time and attention, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.